Who wants to be a Melvinaire? It's a manhood movement, constant elevation. Every day we improving. 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, I think you should tune in. It's more than a podcast, it's a family reunion. Melvinaires. My nigga Mel up in here. You know Rome, he the plug, no telling who might appear. Could be one of your favorite rappers, community activists, businessmen and women, to the shooters and savages. Melvinaires. Yeah, we Melvinaires. Yeah, we Melvinaires. Yeah.
Yo, mic check, 1 2 1 2. It's the Almighty Melvinaire podcast, man. We back in the building with a special guest. Give it up one time. There we go, bro. Indeed. We blessed to be here today, man. I'm your host, none other, Rome the Plug, and we have a special guest in the building. None other, and everybody knows. If you don't know who his woman is, she's magnificent. I can't find enough adjectives to describe how much I admire you and appreciate you. So we're just going to just put it straight up. We got Dr. Maa't on the Melvinaire podcast touching down, man. It's a blessing and an honor, and we just want to welcome you with open arms. Like, I love you, like you seriously, like for like everything. I mean, I'm big on our elders and righteousness. You know what I mean? Like, I hear you speak, and I hear righteousness. I would hear the words that, you know, like women in my family would say. You know what I mean? And that's why. And then the fact that you from Baltimore, like, it's just like, oh man, you know, like I've been doing this for a while now. So before this was podcasting, like I kind of got started with Corinne Gaines. So like I kind of me stepping into journalism and all that, it started there. So I actually had the only eyewitness and like her actual family on the show before it made national news. So like Fox 45 actually had to like reach out to me and get permission to use clips from the show and everything, and while that whole process was going on.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I kind of got into it. But I've always just been watching you, so I was like, I'm gonna interview Dr. Maa't one of these days, man. And you know, we just crossed paths at the rallies for reparations. You know, big shout out to Tariq too, man. That was beautiful.
Yes, definitely shout out to Tariq Nasheed.
Yeah, big shout out to Tariq Nasheed. Yeah, so it just lined up. So now I'm like, man, I just been looking so forward to it, to see it. Like, you know, I talked to Naj about it. You know, I talked to Boom about it. And I'm like, man, you know, it's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen. You know, and we cross paths. Those are two guys that like I'm really close to. Like those, like now it's like my big brother. You know, Boom. Same thing with Boom. They like my two older brothers, man. So you know, like they call me just on the regular. You know, they fam.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, they family. So I was just like, yeah, man, I'm gonna interview Dr. Maa't. I wanted to do like, you know, I'm gonna interview everybody in Baltimore that got something going on. You know, that's a goal of mine. So of course for you, you know, you got a little bit more notoriety, you know, but for me, it just made sense. Like, I've been waiting for it for years. Like, I've done like not the whole conscious circle. Like I interviewed the red pills, you know, the blue pills, like all those guys, man. Big shout out to them, man, because I appreciate those guys because they were all like part of my journey. You know, they were all like essentially part of my journey. If you look, like I started out interviewing, like I got cool with red pill. They went from red pill to blue pill to inky, because this was just what I was just ingesting, you know, on a regular basis. So I ended up bumping into these guys when they came into town, you know, and just meeting them. So I was like, man, you know, like I've been doing this radio stuff for like going on 7 years now. So I used to do this was another platform called, I used to do the show called My Skin Is My Sin. That was me behind that. So I don't know if you ever heard of it or not. But
I have heard of it.
Yeah, that was me. I was part of that behind the scenes and everything. Yeah, so I was part of that situation over there, and I branched out and made my own platform.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, brother. First and foremost, thank you for you know, having me, you know, on your platform and inviting me on on your platform. And I do remember meeting you at the reparations rally in DC
Yeah.
this past, I think it was November. Did we do it on the 4th or the 5th or something like that? I want to say it
Yeah.
was
The
November the
first week in
5th.
November. Yeah.
Yeah, the
First
first
week
week in November we were in DC, and we connected there. And you were definitely a man of your word. You said, I want you on, and here we are today.
Yes,
And so I
absolutely.
appreciate, you opening up your platform to me. And then you also mentioned names of some brothers that I hold in high regard. PFK Boom, I hold him in very high regard,
Absolutely.
along with, Big Wolf and 300, and the
Absolutely.
work that those brothers were putting in here in Baltimore. You mentioned Tariq Nasheed. That brother catches a lot of hate, but he puts, he delivers and keeps on delivering to our people. And
Absolutely.
so, salute to brother Tariq Nasheed. He has a film, The Maroons.
Mm-hmm.
The Maroons documentary. I think it's called American Maroon. That's getting ready to drop in
Awesome.
March. So I just wanted to plug that while I was on your platform. It's going to be a phenomenal documentary on resistance.
Yeah.
Our resistance to colonization and enslavement. He's going to highlight, history. He's going to highlight in that film history that isn't taught in the school system. So typically when our children think of Black history, they go back as far as Dr. King and Rosa Parks.
Yep.
So they go back to the civil rights movement, but they never go beyond the civil rights movement. And if they do, they go back to slavery, and they may know about Harriet Tubman, or they may not, or they may have heard of Frederick Douglass. But a lot of our babies don't know our full history. And a lot of them don't know that we have been resisting since we came onto this continent. We've always resisted colonization and enslavement. There was never a time when we did not fight. And so I appreciate brother Tariq Nasheed and his Hidden Colors documentary, and also the American Maroon documentary that's getting ready to drop, because it's teaching our children, our people, our full history.
Absolutely.
Not just the feel good stuff and not the bad stuff, but our full history.
Absolutely. And yeah, big shout out, like Tariq is there's gonna be a time where we're not here and someone's gonna be talking about Tariq Nasheed's contributions to Black society, man. And the guy, he's amazing, man. He's amazing, man. Like I put a lot of guys on Hidden Colors. I mean, guys that still on street corners all day. And like I've had guys come to me and be like, man, thank you, man, because I didn't know. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't know. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know this and I didn't know that. But yeah, Tariq is, and the museum coming.
Yeah.
Tariq's making his move, man, as a staple. You know what I mean? For FBAs, you know what I mean? Like for all of this, man. Big shout out. I got to shout out my bro too, man. Shout out my man Billy Ray Valentine. Shout out Self Care Snob. And shout out my bro, Sincere Love to God, who that's the intro.
That's another person.
That's my brother.
Yeah,
that's my brother, man.
Sincere Love to God. Yeah, his music is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. We're gonna have Master Elements coming on too, man, for the new album they got coming out. We're gonna have them coming on too. But yeah, Sincere is a bro, man. It's all family.
Beautiful.
So my first question for you, personally, I know you have a children's book series, and my first question for you is, what do you feel is the most important thing that Black children need to know about themselves to improve their confidence and competitive spirit?
That's an easy question right there. A good one, but also an easy one. We have to know our history. So it's not one particular thing that they should know. It is our history.
Right.
So when you talk about, confidence and motivation, to have a model of excellence, which our ancestors were, they were a model of excellence. And so when you see that, you have no choice but to become motivated when you see people like you building and thriving, right? And advancing. So you want to, our children, we got to understand that children emulate what they see, right? They repeat what they hear and they emulate what they see. So models of excellence is what should be in front of our children. And those models of excellence would be our historical and even our present day models of excellence. But I always say we got to start with history, because history is the foundation of knowledge of self. So when you give our children true knowledge of self, you see that they thrive. When you start their history with greatness and not the period of enslavement and colonization, you see a difference.
Absolutely.
And so think about it. When you go through when we matriculate through the K through 12 system, right? And I'm talking about us. Mm-hmm. We're typically exposed to a Eurocentric curriculum, right?
Correct.
Now, white children, as a result of being exposed to a curriculum that's centered around their history and their culture, what do you see them do? They thrive,
Correct.
right? And
Absolutely.
so if you take our children and then you put them in an educational institution that has a curriculum that's centered around our history and our culture, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to thrive. And so, in order to motivate our children, in order to motivate the children, great. Well, you have to show them models of excellence. You have to show them models of greatness that looks like them. And so that is why it's important for them to be taught their history. So I'm glad you mentioned my series. It's not a book series. It's a multimedia series called Meltrek. No. I'm just building. Yeah, it's not. I'm just building. So it's not a book series. It's a multimedia series called Meltrek. Mel is short for melanin. Trek means journey. So we're taking you on a journey to learn about the history, culture, and achievements of melanated people. Now, when we first started, and when I say we, I'm talking about my family. Okay, even the youth in my family, I pulled all of them together to start this series. When we first started, our objective was to simply create animated films, right? Using hip hop as a tool to captivate children and to motivate children and to keep them engaged. And so we were using hip hop music as like a teaching tool, okay, and animations to teach our history, right? But then once we released our first film, Meltrek Episode 1, Exploring Ancient Africa, parents started reaching out from around the world and said, well, what else do you have?
Yeah.
You know, this film was great,
Yeah.
but what else do you have? And so that's when we produced an activity book for Meltrek Episode 1, followed by a storybook, followed by a curriculum, which will be accessible to parents by the summer, online, a curriculum that you can actually utilize to teach your children. So whether or not you're a homeschool person or just a parent who on the side just want to educate your child on our history, you'll have access to a curriculum. Okay.
That's
and
awesome.
So for each film that we produce, I just want to reiterate that you get a film, you get a book, storybook, you get an activity book, and you also get a curriculum for each film. And so we currently have 2 films, Meltrek Exploring Ancient Africa, which focuses on Africa, right? And the objective of this particular film is to teach our children that our history does not begin with slavery. And so they are exposed to various African civilizations, kings and queens. They're told that we are the mothers and fathers of humanity, that we are the mothers and fathers of science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, architecture, and religion. You know, and so we expose them to that in Meltrek Episode 1. Meltrek Episode 2, Exploring the Pre-Columbian Americas, teaches what I call rural U.S. history. So we teach the babies about the cultures of the indigenous people of the Americas prior to the arrival of Christopher Columbus.
Okay.
And so they learn about the mound builders that were located or based in North America. Okay, the Hopewell Mississippians and the Adena. And then we take them into Mesoamerica where they learn about the Olmecs, Mayans, and Aztecs. And then we take them into South America where they learn about the Incas. And so now we're currently working on Meltrek Episode 3. I'm super, super excited about this one. I'm excited about all of them.
Yeah.
But this one, I feel like is probably going to be my favorite because not only are students being, not students, but viewers, not only are viewers going to be exposed to history, right? But they're also going to be exposed to African spirituality. So it's like, you know, it's like with Meltrek series, like we're growing, you know?
Yeah.
And so Meltrek Episode 3 is called Exploring the Maafa. And the Maafa is a Swahili word, which means the great disaster. It was coined by Nana Marimba Ani. And so in this particular film, we're going to be talking about the beginnings of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. And so we're going to talk about how it started. And it started with the Portuguese going into West Africa, right? You know, so we're going to, and I'm speaking specifically about the transatlantic slave trade, because somebody might be listening and say, well, Dr. Maa't, what about the trans-Sahara slave trade? I'm talking about the origins of the transatlantic slave trade, which started with the Portuguese. And so we're going to teach our babies about the origins of the slave trade, because all of the students can tell you that slavery existed. But can students tell you, or children tell you, who started it, when, where, and why? And so this particular film will give you give you those answers. And like I said, they're going to be exposed to Adinkra symbols, the Sankofa bird, African spirituality. You're going to see an Orisha in the film. You're going to hear
Yeah.
someone praying in Yoruba language and all sorts of stuff. And so they'll be exposed to that, the kente cloth and the patterns and African
Yeah.
drumming. And it's gonna give you that Black Panther I said party, but Black Panther
Phil.
feeling is going to give you
that's
that.
beautiful.
And I think that's going to be the one that's actually going to pop.
That's
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, but no, the Black Panther, that's a great transition. It's a great way to kind of incorporate everyone. You know what I mean with that film, because even with Black Panther, you had people who it didn't matter what they believed in. You know what I mean? They saw Black excellence. You know, there was a representation of Black excellence and with a great storyline. So I think that's a great I'm sorry a great adjective to a great comparison for Black Panther, because it didn't matter what kind of Black person you was in America. It was a celebration because it was Black Panther.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think that's a great comparison. The importance of representation, of Black representation for kids. I just had my first son this year, so I'm a father.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Congratulations!
So thinking about my boy, and as a kid, and I have two girls. I have two older children, and I was a girl dad, so it was even like the baby dolls, like everything, the representation of just something that represents you, that looks like you.
Absolutely.
You know, the imagery is so important for our children, and we just did a show a couple of weeks ago called DUI, called Death Under the Influence, and speaking on the influence of the devaluing of life in hip hop music, and it's a reflection. Yes, it's life imitating art. You know what I mean? So we were just speaking on certain everything that's transpiring. But you got the imagery of just pick one, like a Little Dirk, you know what I mean, who raps about guns, murder, and gang affiliation, and drugs, and that's what the direct reflection of the youth right now. That's what they listening to, that's what they digest, and that's what's transpiring. So but on a positive note, from where you're coming from, that my other question was, I'm sorry, I drifted off. The age range. I was speaking about my son. The age range, because I was looking for some type of curriculum that I could just play for my son to just ingest. You know what I mean? Although he's not even one yet, but just something that I could play, while he's up, that he's mentally just subconsciously ingesting. Is where I was trying to go. I'm sorry, I drifted off.
No, absolutely. And so I've had parents who, and shout out to, I think the brother name was Dante, but the brother had his 6-month-old child. He had the child watching Meltrek. Okay. And so while at those ages, they 6 months, probably don't, of course not knowing what they see, but it's seeing images. But it's the importance is what you said earlier, and you weren't drifting off at all, brother. You were talking about the power of representation, the need for representation, and the power of imagery. Remember, it was Dr. Leonard Jeffries who said, "He who controls the image controls your self-development, your self-identity, and your self-esteem." Right? I might have butchered it, but it's something along those lines. Whoever controls the image controls your self-development, controls your self-esteem, and your self-dignity or your self-worth, something along those lines. Okay. But so imagery is very important. Imagery shapes our reality. Imagery. So like you said, for us to be represented in a positive way is imperative to the healthy development of the self-identity of our babies, right?
Correct.
To our self-development of our children. And so we got to make sure that we inundate our children with positive images of us, because children, they repeat what they hear and they emulate what they see.
Absolutely.
And if we want our children to be great, then we have to put models of excellence in front of them. They got to listen to models of excellence. They have to see models of excellence, because again, children repeat what they hear and they emulate what they see. And so going back to your initial question, Meltrek is created really for elementary and middle school age children. I think around the 8th grade, we start losing them a little bit.
Okay.
I noticed, I think Meltrek gets a little babyish, maybe to them.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I know definitely K through 8th. K through 8th is what I feel like the series focuses. But look, I've had high school educators show Meltrek to their high school students because the information is for everybody. The information is ageless.
Right.
So we may be targeting K through 8th, but the information is for everyone. I've had parents who sat there and watched the film and called me and said, "Oh, I learned so much watching Meltrek episode 1," or I didn't know this watching Meltrek episode 2, or I read the book and oh my goodness. So parents, have reached out. So the information is ageless. But if you're asking me who are we targeting intentionally, I would answer and say that K through 8th is who we are intentionally targeting. But the information is ageless. And even if the child is young, let's say the child is a toddler, I've even had parents, children 2 and 3, they're sending me videos of their child watching Meltrek, right?
Yeah.
So for them, they may not even be knowing what's going on, but just seeing the imagery, and hearing the music, it is enough.
I'll never forget, quick story. I watched, I got a 19-year-old daughter. So big shout out to my daughter. My daughter spent the weekend with me. She on her way home right now. But big shout out to her. Big shout out to Jaleese. But when she was in middle school, when Hidden Colors first came out, I made my business that my daughter saw Hidden Colors.
Okay.
And she went to school. I forget exactly. I think it was some type of report. She goes to school and says George Washington wasn't the first president. John Hanson, who was a black man, was the whole John Hanson story. So I got the email from her teacher like, well, this isn't being taught in the curriculum. And then my reply was, but it's factual. You know what I mean? Like, it's not taught in the curriculum, but it's factual information. So you can't not credit her for an assignment for something that's actual history. And I end up going up to, like, it didn't make it to the principal, but it went up a little bit. But she ended up getting credit for a report. Make a long story short.
She should have.
Her teacher basically tried to give her incomplete for the situation, saying it didn't apply to the curriculum. And it was like, no. But my second question for you. It's a two-part question. So my first question is, in 2023 going forward, how do you feel about this so-called gender war that's going on? Like, everything's always like a planned divider, but amongst us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's this pre-notion like gender war between men and so-called modern women, whatever that means. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily know what that a modern woman means, but between, and I'm not necessarily concerned about anybody else, but our people, our men, our women, I think it's a lot of distractors. Like, we talked about on the show a lot about the whole like Tory, the whole Tory Meg situation. This whole situation it's a house divided. So you got women who. All right, so that's my first part of my question is, how do you feel about that? My second part to the question is your opinion on the importance of balancing feminine and masculine principles between black men and women.
Okay, so I hope that I understood both your questions.
I'm saying it right. I hope I'm saying it right.
Yeah. So you said, so your first question was,
how do you feel?
How do I feel about this divide that's happening?
Correct.
I see it online, and I see it online a lot. They call it the manosphere and the womansphere. And so you go to manosphere, and then those brothers, they have gripes with the sisters and saying all kinds of stuff. And then you go to the womansphere, and they have gripes with the brothers, and they're saying all types of stuff. I've listened to different I guess, content creators in both spheres. And I think that, some of them do have great points. I've listened to the men, and I can't negate some of the points that they've made. Some of them are great points. I think that women may get mad at how they make those points or some of the
Right.
things that are said, but I think those brothers over there have made some great points regarding the behavior of Black women. And when I've gone over to the woman sphere, and I've listened to their points, they've made some great points on the behavior of Black men. Now, what I don't condone is bashing. I don't condone bashing, and I don't condone, generalizations. So I'm not going to sit here and say all Black men do this or
Right.
all Black men behave like that. Just like I wouldn't expect for Black men on the other side to say, well, all Black women, do this, or all Black women do that. I don't even respect when they try to quantify it with words like most or a lot, right? Because then, as an engineer, as a thinker, my whole thing is, how did you measure that? Where's your data where's your data to corroborate your idea
claim.
of most
Right.
of most women do this or most men do that, right?
Correct.
So that's the thing. That's what I don't like. The bashing and disrespecting each other. I think that we both can critique each other, but let's do it in a healthy way, right?
Right.
Let's have healthy dialogue.
It should be a conversation for solutions.
Absolutely.
At this point, right?
Absolutely. So if we want to critique each other's behavior and discuss solutions, that's fine. But bashing and disrespecting each other, that's not going to bring about Black love and Black families and a Black nation. So people that talk about
Correct.
Black empowerment, how can you talk about Black empowerment if you over here bashing Black women, or if you over here bashing Black men? There will never be Black empowerment without the unification of Black men and Black women. I want to say that one more time. There will
Absolutely.
never be Black empowerment without the unification of Black men and women. Black men will never be empowered, and Black women will never be empowered without each other.
Absolutely.
So those women we're divesting from Black men, and then the other brothers, we're divesting from Black women. We dating up, we going outside the race, and all of these divestors, and I'm talking about divestors on both sides now. They need to get out of the community because they're no good to us anyway. I'm at a point where I'm not in the business of saving everybody. If you want to be a divestor and you want to get out of the community, go. This nation building work is for those of us who are serious about nation building, who love Black people, and who are willing to unify with each other. So that online beefing crap, I let them brothers and sisters have it, because it's about having boots on the ground. I can't spend my time
Absolutely.
on the internet bashing Black men, or on the internet bashing Black women. It's not doing anything to improve the Black condition, right? And so I think a lot of those platforms are really for a lot of hurt folks. I think a lot of hurt people gravitate towards those platforms.
Yeah.
So you go to the woman's sphere, you have a lot of broken women who are in the woman's sphere. Baby daddy cheated, somebody broke their heart. So now you're over here, and then you found a collective of women who are also hurt. And so now you just over here man bashing. Then you got the other brothers, they on this side, they butt hurt, they got mama issues and baby mama issues and all that crap. And so they're over here whining and complaining. I don't have time for that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it. Go ahead.
I get it. I was one of those guys. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm divorced. You know what I mean? I got a horrible relationship with my mother. You know what I mean? I took a step back and looked at myself and had to understand and accept that I was one of those guys at one point in time, regardless if my claims were valid or not. You know what I mean? The perception of what it looked like. I had to accept the fact that I was one of those individuals. But, I'll tell you, I stand on everything that I say. You know what I mean? So everything I say and do, I stand on. But at the same time, I'm a guy that's going to tell you, I'm going to also ask you, how do we fix it? Because at this point, it's not just me, it's my peers. You know what I mean? People who came before me. It's everybody's hurt. Not everybody's broken, but everybody's got something going on. And, for us as a community, at this point, if we not talking about solutions and how we fix it, and and come to some type of common mean to fix this division between the Black man and Black woman, we're kind of screwed. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We're going to be screwed.
Absolutely. But I don't even think that the division is what we think it is. Like, I think that it's online and we see it online. And so we think that it's happening it's not happening in my family,
Right.
and it's not happening in my immediate community. So I think sometimes we have to separate online foolishness with real life. So a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a whole gender divide. Every black men and black women are at war." Not where I am.
Yeah.
So that's not happening in my personal life. Not to say that it's not happening in yours, but what I'm saying is we have to separate the online fantasy virtual space to what's happening in real life. And I wouldn't say in real life that in Baltimore you see black men and women at war. I can't say that.
I don't see that. I mean, I've seen incidents.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
of course.
It's almost like watching the news during the height of the pandemic, and they tell you the hospitals is packed. You know what I mean? They tell you the hospitals is packed and there's no room for anybody, and and you drive past and the parking lot empty.
There you go. You go.
Right.
There you go. And so that's what I'm saying. We got to kind of, I know we see a lot of this stuff online because I've seen it, but to act like this is really happening, I don't really see it happening. But I do agree that we need to, unify more, and that whatever problems do exist between black men and black women, we need to fix that and
Right.
heal from that. And I love your candidness, because you say, I used to be one of those guys. I used to be one of those women where I used to bash dudes. I had some issues, with my father. I had issues, with being violated. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to be angry when it came to like dudes. I didn't like you.
Absolutely.
And you didn't do anything to me, and I was
Mm-hmm.
mugging you, and I didn't like you. But since then, since I turned 32 and I started going on my healing journey, and I had to dig deep inside of myself and wonder why I thought and felt the way I felt about men. And I had to deal with that, and I had to heal from that. I had to deal with that, and I had to heal from it. And so I give thanks for who I am today, and that is understanding the importance of male presence, right? Male presence and male participation. You're not going anywhere without black men, black women, and black women. You're not going anywhere. Black men, you're not going anywhere without black women.
Absolutely.
And so we got to work together. So your second part of your question, you were mentioning the balance, and that is what's necessary. That is Maa't.
Right.
It's balance. It's the feminine principle and the masculine principle. Balance together, building. That is the entire universe is built on the principle of complementarity.
Absolutely.
Everything
Absolutely.
is built on that principle of balance, of complementarity. And so, you say, how important is it? It's extremely important. It's the way the universe works. It's nature. It's the way nature operates in harmony. That's when harmony takes place, when things are in balance, or in balance, not imbalance, but in balance. That is harmony. That is harmony. So
Absolutely.
we'll never get to a point in our communities, even in our families and our communities, unless we balance, unless we are in balance with one another. You see what I'm saying? Because right now it's off balance. When you got too much of the feminine energy, it's off balance. Too much of the masculine energy, it's off balance. You create a harmonious environment when those principles are completely balanced.
Right. Yeah. I'm big on balance. So like, just with everything we have going on, like you have women who could conduct themselves or walk around with the bravado of a man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Put themselves in it, like and mentally that's where they're at. But realistically, that's not what it is. You know what I mean? You can't tell me, like, I grew up with a mother who was like, I don't need a man. You know what I mean? But she's 2 times divorced, and I love my mom. You know what I mean? But just keeping it a buck. That's my first example.
Right.
You know what I mean? Of saying this. So it's like my mom's like, I don't need, and my mother's, she got a PhD. You know what I mean? She's a professor. You know what I mean? Like she's a teacher. She tell you, I don't need a man. This, that, and third. Whoop de whoop. All right. So now everything's done and past and done. The kids are grown. Everything else has moved on. Now what? 2 times divorced. I need a man. You know what I mean? And it's just one hand does not wash the other. Which you're not going to hear guys say, we don't need women. Men don't.
They do it all the time. Men do say that. Men do say that, and let me tell you why. Listen to hip hop music. Don't make me pull out.
Okay. All right, say less.
Rolls over hoes. Like, let's not act like that. We don't live in a culture where you have dudes that have promoted not needing women and only needing
That's true.
only objectifying women. I'm talking about
Correct.
sexual objectification of women is serious in hip hop music. You don't need these broads. Even something for my kids because I'm down for my. Come on
Right.
now.
Right.
I don't
Right.
see.
Right.
I don't know no hip hop music where they like something for my queens, all my queens. I don't see that. So,
True.
so
All
you
right, that's a
say you
good point.
don't ever hear men say they don't need women.
That's
Well, let's
good.
look at the music.
That's good. That's a great point.
You
That's a great
know,
point.
it's like dudes got mad when and I don't support or condone the whole culture, because I call it the whole frequency. Or the strip club culture,
Mm-hmm.
rap culture music with the Cardi B and the Glorilla and Meg Thee Stallion, all of them. But it was an outrage when Cardi B had she put out, I don't know if it was an interview or a song. It was something that came out about her robbing.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
And everybody, they wanted to cancel Cardi. They was mad at Cardi, and I'm sitting here listening because I'm an '80s baby. I was born in '81. So I saw hip hop go from Ron DMC
Right.
all the way through,
So
Tribe
I'm
Called
83.
Quest.
I'm 83. So all right.
Tribe Called Quest. So I didn't seen it all. So you
Right.
can't tell me what the music was like because I heard it.
Right.
I remember dum dum dum.
Right.
To the window.
To the wall.
To
yeah.
the wall. And so all of those degrading songs, literally degrading women, and I'm gonna say black women because that's all you saw in the music video.
Correct.
And then when she come out with something, now we want to cancel because, oh Lord, don't say anything about black men. But then black men will sit there and even black women will sit there and stream and support music that condones the degradation, that promotes degrading images of black women. I'm sorry.
That's
I don't
very
support
true.
I don't support none of it. And what I try not to do is to be a hypocrite. A lot
Right.
of us are hypocrites.
Absolutely.
We say one thing, I respect women, man. I respect women, man. And then I say, well, let me listen to your playlist.
Right. And
And
there ain't no
your
fun if the
playlist-
homies can't have none.
Yeah, ain't no fun.
Yeah.
And all this pimp music
Right.
and this player music. Then you want to tell me you about the black family, but then you sit here and you listen to music of this dude talking about he a pimp, he this, he that. You defending the plantation buck behavior of Nick Cannon and calling it polygamy, which is not. It's promiscuity. It's not polygamy. It's promiscuity, because polygamy is about nation building, right? That's what it is. It's about building families and building communities and building a nation. What he's doing is just whoring and reproducing while he's whoring. But what I'm saying is we can't be hypocrites. We can't be hypocrites, and we always have to tell the truth when it's unpopular to do so. So I just wanted to add that tidbit because you said, well, men, you never hear men say that we don't need women.
That's a valid. That's a very valid point.
I can pull up 10 songs right now of men saying, well,
True.
I just need my bros over hoes. I hear all that stuff.
That's true. That's in the music. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, it's on both sides. Like, both sides have legitimate arguments. You know what I mean? In certain points. But at some point, we got to stop just debating and start building. Because at this point, you know what I mean? Like, in 50 years, where will we be? You know what I mean? As a nation. You know what I mean? Like, just for us, like, it's going to get scary. Like, they're not letting all these people in this country for no reason.
Come on.
You know what I mean? And while everything else is going on, while we sitting up here arguing about Megan, Tory, and Kanye and Kim, and like all these distractions, while they doing everything right in front of your face. You know what I mean? And that's where, like, listen, I can talk about relationships all day, but at this point, I want to talk about some with some solutions at the same time too. Like, where are we going? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Are we trying to get some land? Like, what are we doing?
But it's people doing it, brother.
Yeah.
So
nah.
so I know you said talk about solutions. We already doing it. We already had the conversations about solutions. Dr. Amos Wilson wrote an entire 868-page book,
true.
Blueprint for Black Power,
So true.
with solutions. Dr. Claude Anderson has the book Powernomics, which gives us solutions. So we have the solutions. At this
Correct.
point, it's about, hold up, Kwame Nkrumah. Shout out to his book, Nation Building, African-Centered Education Theory and Practice. So we have the solutions. It's about actually taking the solutions and
applying
implementing them. and implementing them. And there are brothers and sisters who are doing it. Shout out to the brothers and sisters who are buying acres of land and developing those acres of land. Shout out to the brothers and sisters. I'm actually be speaking in Atlanta in another year. There's a whole convention happening down in Atlanta with the farmers. The black farmers are cultivating. Shout out to the UNIA right now, who's opening up grocery stores, reopening a lot of the grocery stores that they had to close, but opening grocery stores and selling the products from black farmers exclusively in those grocery stores.
Yeah.
Shout out to people like Baba Amin of the Uhuru Academy, Q Butter of the Zayax Institute, Baba Baruti and Mama Ya Baruti of Akabin House, Brother Marcus Klein of Freedom Home Academy, Nation House, and others, the Kamali Academy. Shout out to those brothers and sisters who have built educational institutions. Absolutely. And shout out to all of the brothers and sisters who are doing all of these things that I may not have called their names. But there are people, you keep saying, we're the solutions. We're implementing the solutions. I think that it's at a point where black people who are doing this need to start supporting the endeavors. Correct. So I ask people when they call me up, I say, how many of you have Meltrek? Meltrek been out for 10 years. Where's your Meltrek episode 1? Where's your Meltrek episode 2? Do you have the curriculum, or do you have any of the books to teach our children, knowledge of self? What about the conscious ingenuity program that Dr. Maa't has as being currently deployed in several schools in Baltimore and 2 African-centered schools, right?
Talk about that.
Yeah, hold up, but I just want to say, so these solutions are out there, right, but you have more people doing this instead of actually supporting the brothers and sisters who are implementing the solutions. So it's not about where the solutions. The problem is people aren't supporting the daggone solutions. What about an African-centered school? How many of you, everybody sitting around here complaining about the public food system, but how many of you actually have children in an African-centered institution? And then don't tell me that an African-centered institution isn't near you, because African-centered education is online right now. So now what's the excuse? So I'm at that point. People can't come to me and say, well, what's the solution? Because if that's the case, then that means you're actually disconnected from the people who are doing the work.
Touche. Touche. I can't even say that. I have no rebuttal to that. Touche. That's very on point. Big shout out to my guy Q Butter, man. That's my guy, man. So and I interviewed Bob Amin some years back too, man. He's dope too. Yeah. I peep what he got going on too, man. Absolutely. I interviewed Bob Amin probably about like 4 years ago or something, like a while back on the other show. He's a serious cat. Yeah, he is. He is. And he does a lot, man. A lot for those kids. But how much time we got, Lee? We got like 5 minutes left. So I just want to thank you again for your time. This was excellent. I'm going to check my calendar now, and I'll reach back out to you for we can set up the other situation. I'm gonna set that ladies' night show up. I got a couple of sisters that's local. That I think you guys have an amazing show together. Honestly, it'd be powerful.
Yeah, but I wanted to get into conscious ingenuity, but you said you're getting ready.
No, go ahead.
Because you said you all had. I didn't know you all were on a time limit. Because I'm looking at the other interviews, and it seems like you all at least go about an hour. But if you need to cut this short, that's fine.
How much time? I'm gonna check with my engineer. How much time we got?
Y'all good. I just didn't want to cut y'all off.
Okay, all right. No, we're good.
All right, so I wanted to. Oh, that's going to be edited out, or?
Yeah, we edit it out.
Okay. All right. So I know you did in the midst of me kind of going in on the solutions, you asked about conscious ingenuity, the conscious ingenuity program. And for anyone who is interested in getting their child enrolled in conscious ingenuity, simply go to consciousingenuity.com. Conscious ingenuity is a program that utilizes STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, but that A is art and agriculture. So it's a double A there. Okay. So science, technology, engineering, art, agriculture, and mathematics to build character, confidence, and capabilities. And so it's a K through 12 program that's currently, like I said earlier, being deployed in several schools in Baltimore City. It's also actually being deployed through the Uhuru Academy with Baba Amin, and also through the Kamoyo Shule academy with Baba Imhotep Fadiu of PLM. I don't know if you interviewed him, but he would be a beautiful person to interview. Baba Imhotep Fadiu of Pan African Liberation Movement
I'm gonna
here
look
in
him up.
Baltimore.
I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah,
I haven't, but I'll definitely
yeah.
look him up.
Look that brother up. He's a serious brother. He's been putting in work in Baltimore for the past 20, 25 years
Beautiful.
of
Yeah, I need to talk
service.
to him. I need to
Yeah,
talk to
so
him.
yeah, dynamite brother. But we are we're actually deploying conscious ingenuity through his institution currently, and so kids are exposed to all sorts of things: electric circuits, cybersecurity, coding, artificial intelligence,
Beautiful.
with the purpose of trying to develop critical thinking skills, problem
Hmm.
solving skills, creativity skills. They do a lot of group projects, to foster team building skills and things of that nature.
Yeah.
We also focus on, there's a strong emphasis on character development as well. So we're not just, remember I said we're using STEAM to build character, confidence, and capabilities, right? So character is we spend a lot of time on that. Is a huge emphasis
Hmm.
on character, and so we use African history and culture in order to optimally develop the character of the participants of our program, so they're exposed to Maa't. We read different storybooks about the different principles of Maa't. So we talk to them about truth, just, propriety, balance, order, reciprocity, and I feel like I'm forgetting another one. But we go through all of the principles with them,
Yeah.
and we do activities with the children. They listen to music, and we have this segment where they're we call it healing through music, and so we give them a chance to express themselves through music. I've
That's
actually
dope.
just integrated the shakore. So I don't know if you've know that's an instrument, I believe from Nigeria. So it's a shakore, which is a
Okay.
music. So we're going to be doing that and teaching them about African, culture and things of that nature. And like I said, all of this to reaffirm their self-identity and to boost their self-esteem and to help develop their character. So conscious ingenuity, every Black child should be in the program. And so again, just go to consciousingenuity.com, sign up for the email list. So when we have, programs, when we're launching a new program, or you'll get, information for that.
That's awesome. I remember as a kid, my mom was in the military, and of course, military bases, it kind of is what it is. So even like I was in school, like trying to learn like African like history. Like I remember, I think I had to be like 10. I was taking like an African like dance class, and it was like an overweight white lady was my teacher. Like, and
Wow.
your word, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's an overweight white lady, you know what I mean? And like I asked my mom, like, yo, why do I have to do this? You know what I mean? And it was just like, oh well, you gotta learn your history and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, but like she ain't the one to teach me this. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Not with Curran jumping up and down in front of you. Not Curran doing it,
Yeah.
Like, hold up now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah, so how much time we got, Lee? Yeah, I was thinking we started at 2:15, man. I'm bugging looking at the clock in front of me. I'm tripping. But I did have one more question for you. I want to make sure I had it written down, so my apologies. Okay. The division between okay, all right, so I guess this may apply to what we spoke on earlier, but the idea of people who are from our brothers and sisters that's continental Africans opposed to FBAs. The is a divisional line with that too. Like I want your opinion on that. I wait till after you finish speaking to rebuttal.
No. I'm just. It's not about rebuttal. It's just saying that I see what you're talking about online. Tariq, a lot of people, they get mad at Tariq for responding
Right.
to what those people, that those brothers and sisters are saying. And I'm gonna say this: is there an element of continental Africans and diasporan Africans who have a disdain for us? Absolutely. Just like there is an element of us, right, who have a disdain for them. If you talk to the average Black American, they would frown their face up if you said, you're African. If you call them an African,
Absolutely.
they would frown their face. It was people who I told the first time I set foot on the continent was in 2019. When I told folks that I was going to Africa, they said, "Why do you want to go there? Go to the Caribbean or go here or go. Why do you want to go to Africa?" And they frowned their face up and I said, "Well, what do you think about Africans? Oh, they live in huts and they live in this and they live in." I started laughing. I said, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "The white folks have done a number on you.
Done a number on us.
They have done a number on you to think that your brothers and sisters are living terribly now. Or does Africa have this impoverished parts? Absolutely. But I guarantee you, if they came to Baltimore and they looked at some of the places where we live,
absolutely,
they would turn their noses up.
Absolutely.
So every country has his impoverished areas. Has his impoverished areas. But I told those brothers and sisters over here who frowned upon me going to Africa that some of those brothers and sisters in Ghana are living better than you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm talking about in gated communities, spaced out houses and land. Not all of them.
Whole compounds. Yeah, not all of them.
Like,
but
not all of them. But so we had to stop. So again, there is an element of diasporan Africans and continental Africans who have a disdain for us. Absolutely, and it's on this side as well. I don't care about that. I'm interested in connecting with brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora and on the continent who understand that we have a common enemy, right? Correct. We have a common oppressor. We have a common system that needs to be destroyed. Those are the brothers and sisters that I'm interested in dealing with. Those people who are functioning with that mentality that we have a common enemy, right? We have a common oppressor. We have a common system that needs to be destroyed. And so you got to remember, so people always throw Pan-Africanism away because they say, oh, it's been non-reciprocal. I'm not doing nothing for them. They've never done anything for me. They've never done anything for me, so I'm not doing anything for them. And they say Pan-Africanism has never done anything for us. And so that's what they're throwing it away. But we got to remember that racism and white supremacy is a global system.
Correct.
And only systems can combat systems. So if you're saying you want to fight racism and white supremacy, do you think that FBA can devise a system solely by ourselves to defeat a global system of racism and white supremacy? Absolutely. Yeah. So the Euro-American over here, don't think he's not connected with the Euro across the sea.
Correct.
Or the white men throughout. So
Correct.
We got to understand that the international connections are just as important as national connections. We just want to stay in our local areas and network with each other and think we're going to get ahead in a global world.
Correct.
And so we need our brothers and sisters in the diaspora and throughout the continent. And so the hell with the brothers and sisters who have the disdain, and I'm talking about on both sides. It's about connecting with people who understand what we need to do and how we need to move. And that's what I think we're focused, brother, on the wrong stuff.
The wrong stuff.
It's too much. If we focus on it's a gender divide online, the continental Africans and FBA are beefing online. Who cares about that stuff? Let's build. Let's build. I
always had a different mindset about it. I used to do a lot of security work for some brothers, some Nigerian brothers. So I used to be able to talk to these guys, and they'd be like, "Nah, man, you gotta come over here." You know what I mean? So when I was hearing this stuff, I'm like, bro, all the African brothers I know, man, was trying to give me business opportunities. You know what I mean? And
solid.
Yeah, it was solid. So I was like, I never felt like that. But it's funny, just to see to hear the way people talk, about continental Africans, and it's just like, bro, like, it's not like that. Like, it's really not. Like, he's like, you just programmed to believe that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're programmed. They were essentially programmed just to believe that. And my last question for you. Do you believe that it would? Oh, let me word this properly. In your opinion, would a political party, if the black, let's just call it the Black People Party, if we had our own political party, let's say we had a third party, do you think that would aid in any way of helping us break through the system of white supremacy?
Absolutely. And I'm saying this because I read Blueprint for Black Power, and Dr. Amos Wilson talked about the need for a Black nationalist party, and he said that the Democrats and Republicans, and it's crazy when you hear Black folks fighting over whose party is better, because in my mind I'm thinking about like us like fighting over which slave master is better,
Yeah,
right? The
absolutely.
nicer one or the more cruel one, like, so it's
Right.
the same thing with the Democratic and the Republican Party. Dr. Amos Wilson tells us in his book The Blueprint for Black Power that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are two wings on the same plane. Okay, their goal is to maintain racism and white supremacy. They're not trying to dismantle the system of
Right.
racism and white supremacy. So, and in that system, so-called whites are at the top of the hierarchy, and so-called blacks at the bottom of the racial hierarchy, right? That is what it is in the system of racism and white supremacy. And neither one of those parties are going to try to give FBA a leg up. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
Okay. And so he advocated for the creation of a black nationalist political party. He said, now, will that candidate win and get in office? More than likely not, because
Right.
white people have a population monopoly. It's more of them than us. So even if all of us voted for this one particular candidate, if all of the white people voted for one particular candidate, their candidate, the person would get in because of the population monopoly. Not to mention the electoral vote, but we ain't gonna go there. The
Right.
electoral college. So
Yeah,
not to
electoral
mention
college,
them.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So not to mention
Absolutely.
them. But what the Black Nationalist Party does is it allows us to organize the black vote and to organize the black dollar. So now we can say, hey, look, let's say that this Democratic candidate or Republican candidate, whichever we want to go to, is in the lead. We can go to them and say, look, this is our agenda. We have 40 million votes, and here's a check, towards your campaign for $100 million.
Absolutely.
Just make sure that when you get in office that you pass this legislation, or this executive act, and that, right? In order to advance us here, in America or elsewhere, right? And so that's what we need. And so I'm definitely an advocate and a supporter of us starting our own political party.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a brother. Big shout out. I gotta get him on too, man. Brother from Michigan. It's in House of Representatives, man. Brother Jewel Jones. Good brother, man. Young brother too, man. It's a younger generation of black politicians that's coming up that very like minded, kind of on same idea. That third party, that the black party, the black nationalism party is some on the rise. That's kind of in the ranks. So I'm gonna get brother to come on and talk about that, man. It's a few of them out there though. Yeah, man. This was beautiful, man. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I made this happen. I left my job early everything to come here. I was like, I got to interview Dr. Maa't. I gotta go.
So, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. But yeah, I so wish my team was here, man, because I just know like the rest of my team, I know they just gonna want to pick your brain apart. But yeah, we'll set it up. We'll try to get you here live and just have the rest of the team here. But
that'll be cool. I look forward to it, brother.
Absolutely. Awesome. So I definitely appreciate you. Please get your handles out, everything you got going on out before we close out. I truly appreciate you. I appreciate your knowledge and your voice.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you taking time out. First of all, just like inviting me on your platform, leaving the job, coming here, inviting me on your platform and having this beautiful build. Anyone that wants to reach me can reach me via email at dr.maatt.msu@gmail.com. Also follow me on social media at dr.maatt_. So I'm on Instagram or IG as dr.maatt_. I'm on TikTok, full name, Dr. Oya Edward Maatt. I'm on Twitter as Dr._Maatt. And I'm also on YouTube as my whole name, Dr. Oya Edward Maatt. Tune in to my YouTube channel. Go over there, hit subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that whenever I go live, you're notified. And I go live sporadically. So that's why I always tell people, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you won't miss the lives. But that's all of my social media. If anyone wants to get in contact with me, I'm also on Facebook. And so under my whole name, Dr. Oya Edward Maatt. So just go ahead and contact me. I don't like to say follow me, I feel like that's so sheepish, in my opinion. You know, how people say, follow me on this, follow me on that. I always tell folks, connect with me. I just want to connect. So let's connect and let's build.
It's beautiful, man. I'm gonna say it for the record. Dr. Maa't is a real one. She's accessible. She's not Hollywood. Yo, it's wild family oriented, man. You know what I mean? If it feels like fam, you know. So you know, I don't know what else to say to that, man. Yo, listen, it's the Melvin Ed Podcast, man. You follow me, Rome the Plug, can't knock the muscle _43. For bookings and inquiries, it's melvinedmedia@gmail.com. We also on IG at melvined_podcast. Bro, like, it don't really matter. You got something positive going on, you got a story, bro. Like, we make it a show, man. Like, it doesn't matter. You know, like, we've had, like I said, established individuals and people who absolutely, you know, nobody. You know what I mean? But dope content regardless. You know, dope content regardless. It doesn't matter, man. Please tune in. We're going live we're going live Wednesday. I want to give a big shout out to my engineer. Big shout out to Digital Impact Studios. My guy Lee's the best in the game, man. We got a lot going on down here, man. So you'll pay attention. We got some other shows going on. The God is Legend, Music, Life, and Love, the Raw Dope podcast, man. Like, everybody else is on the team. D-Zone podcast. I'm gonna forget something, but yo, y'all might want to pay attention, man. So, you know, we got something going on down here. Just be on the lookout, man. We got a lot of content coming. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share. Always down to collab, interviews, whatever the case may be, man. Just hit me up. We always down for it, man. So I appreciate everyone. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Big shout out to Dr. Maa't. Connect with her. Do not follow her, man. She a real one out here, man. But yeah, peace and love, man.
Peace.
Salute to everybody, man. It's the Melvin Ed Podcast, man. Salute.